Thank you very much. Yes, welcome to this presentation and then the panelists. And I think you have heard some really impressive results before. So I have a little bit different perspective here, and I will start with some basic remarks. Yes, why I am talking about micro-credentials, the European approach to meet labor market needs and new options for lifelong learning. Why? So firstly, I'm working on a brochure for the national agency in Germany on the topic micro-credentials, and secondly, I'm working in a COVI project. This COVI project is called WIN for SMEs, Workplace Innovation for SMEs, and yes. And we are working with a vocational university together in Hamburg on a legal basis. So I think you're familiar with these keywords: Industry 4.0, 5.0 with AI and globalization, company needs, mobility, rapidly changing needs, and so on. And what we need is a common language, of course, and we need transparency and permeability, and learning outcome orientation, and that's not so easy it sounds. And European results to these upcoming needs. From 2000, the European Union created an area of lifelong learning. Then all the transparency instruments like EQF, EQUAVET, ECVET as one approach before micro-credentials came up, and then they started in 2020 with micro-credentials. Keywords were reskilling, upskilling. In 2022, it was the recommendation of the European Union. And here you have this original definition, and that's really worth to read it carefully. Micro-credentials mean the record of learning outcomes. This is one point for quality assurance as well. That a learner has acquired following a small volume of learning because of quickly changing needs. These learning outcomes have been assessed against transparent and clearly defined standards. That's another point we have to discuss later on. Courses leading to micro-credentials are designed to provide learners with knowledge, skills, competences that respond to social, societal, personal, cultural, or labor market needs. We have heard these before in the presentation of Stefania. So they are owned by the learner, can be shared and be portable. They may be standalone or combined into larger credentials. They are underpinned by quality assurance following agreed standards in the relevant sector or area of activity. Not that easy. And here we have these standards. Of course, the learner, title, country, region, awarding body, date of issue, and learning outcomes, the next point. Notional workload in ECTS, not that easy as well. The level, EQF level, type of assessment, and form of participation, online, face-to-face, and so on. Quality assurance, the next point. So these leads to principles: quality, transparency, relevance, valid assessment, learning pathways, the next point. Recognition, yes, who will do this? Portable, learner-centered, authentic, and information and guidance is needed from the provider. So what is the situation? In higher education, it's not a problem at all, because universities can accredit, can develop MOOCs and so on and so on. And worldwide, we have an elaborated system in Australia, modularized with all requirements you think is needed. Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, USA. And we have a lot of institutions among the ETF that has made really a lot of research and recommendations. So this is interesting for us, because you can see here support higher education, it's not a problem, but the recommendation from the EU is support of MCs by web providers in COVI, Centers of Vocational Excellence. And that is below the system level. And Of course, you need validation of prior learning and so on. You need the transparency, skills intelligence system would be really nice to have. And a catalog you need for stackability, for example, to see career pathways. And integrate MCs and NQFs, that's really important. What are the possible advantages? For the learner, flexible, individual learning pathways, lifelong learning. For the companies, faster skills development, transparent skills. And I have one example from a company using AI for developing learning units. And it's really, really a requirement to be really quick with these things. Educational institutions, and that means, for example, our school. Internationalization is one point. And the next point is new business models, because we have a reduction of apprenticeships, unfortunately, because of AI. And now we strive to introduce adult education. So offering the training companies, for example, courses in IT. Reskilling, upskilling, permeability, that's for the society. And here you can have an analogy. It's an underground map from Munich, but it's similar as an analogy because I know one of the Chartered Institute in the UK, and they have this for the members. You can choose the modules and you can choose the way you will proceed your career. Micro-credentials are not new. So the structure and the criteria are developed in former times. So we have here one example. It's from 2012. It's called Hamburg Standards for Modules of Further Training. And you can see here one example, operating container bridges. So in the harbor country, in the harbor area, it's really important that they are well paid. 90,000 per year, for example. And you have these template. It's a bit similar to the one DQF.eu provides, and 160 hours duration. But what I think is really important is this mandatory process. As a provider, you have to ensure labor market needs. You have to be in contact with companies or company association, otherwise nothing is awarded. Then orientation towards business processes, work processes, and NQF level, if applicable, and checking the logic of the template. And this is one really good tool to develop competences. Because every competence in terms of learning outcomes is like a task in a company. And you have these tasks: order, planning, implementation, and completion. And below that, you have all the details, the information that is needed, the steps, and so on. And you have the work objects. So you have a complete overview of the work process in all details. And above, you have the requirements of the company, effectiveness, for example, efficiency or other things, the customer requirements, and society, like environmental law or other things you need. And then you can derive the competences you need, for example. That's really evaluated in different big projects in developing countries as well. So, micro-credentials, I think it's a brilliant idea, but there are many challenges, and the last conference of the CDFOP showed this as well. So the mechanisms to ensure labor market requirements. What do we need? Mandatory processes, kind of data. Standards for the development, methodological approaches, like I showed you. Platforms, very important. Quality assurance, accreditations by whom? And embedding micro-credentials into existing frameworks, ESCO, Europass, EPSI, like DQF.eu, Enigmatic, whatever, I don't know. And prerequisites for recognition. And what I think is really important, support of Erasmus projects aiming at micro-credential development, because not in every country micro-credentials are embedded in the system. For example, in Germany it's limited because of a holistic approach. But I think it's really a chance to put it into Erasmus Plus projects, to come from a bottom-up approach. And needs for DQF.eu success. We need this. We talked about this. And that's a point. DQF.eu, the platform, you can find on the internet. You see, it's in line with the up-to-date standard of W3C, and that's really important, I think. And you can see here an issue can use DQF.eu, the platform, and issue these digital badges, and the company can verify these on the platform. So I think this is really important. And you have a two-step process. The first step is an MOU, so that you, as a provider, you will confirm that you use learning outcome approach and all these requirements you have. But in the second step, and you can see it with the red ellipse on the right side, second level audits. And that is a question we have to discuss as well, because that's really a quality issue. And if you could develop in this direction the platform, that would be really good, because I know different platforms, they are not free of charge, and they are not embedded in a TVET network, for example. So coming back to this point, these are some of the issues or challenges we can discuss. For example,